Marshfield Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, November 26th meeting. This is a hybrid meeting, so if you're dialing in, use *6 to mute and unmute yourself. We're being taped by MCTV, if anyone's wondering. And I'll have to do a roll call because Heidi's out there, so go ahead, Larry.
Larry Keane here.
Grover Hensley here.
Brian Sullivan, present.
Brian Murphy here.
Mac Brothers here.
Heidi?
Heidi, your microphone's off.
Oh, she can always chime in.
You have a quorum, so you can.
Yeah, we're all set, so. All right, so our first one is 2478 Cleaton Lima. Are they coming, Nancy?
22 Musket Road.
I'll read it in. Petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 and 305-1301 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to construct a 30-foot by 20-foot second-floor addition on the property located at 22 Musket Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel K0903-13. It's located in the R3 zoning district. Is there anyone out here for this? All right, I'll leave that open until the end. 2478, Gene and William Cook.
2479.
Oh, 79, sorry. Gene and William Cook. The petitioners are seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-602, 305-610, Table of Dimensional and Density Regulations, and a special permit in accord with 305-1012 to construct a 22-foot 3 by 10-foot screen-put porch on the existing deck on property located at 33 13th Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on Ls 10, 18, 112, and is located in the R3 zoning district. Come on up.
Oh. Is it right here?
Just need your name and address for the record, and then you can go ahead.
Jean Cook, 33 13th Road,
Bill-
Marshfield.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Bill Cook, 33 13th Road.
Go ahead.
We just wanted to screen in the existing deck and helped combat the mosquitoes and dealing with those and maybe a little bit of the extra sun that we're exposed to.
So, does the board have questions on this? I'm assuming?
With Andrew this morning, but we need
Right.
to review everything.
Bob, can you explain what the variance is for?
Sure.
This isn't going to be heated space or anything, correct? It's just going to be a screen porch, just putting covering and screens around an existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe windows so we don't get sand in during the wintertime, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
A combination
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah,
But
we don't have anything overhead,
Sure.
so, yeah.
It's going to add to the footprint of the structure. So, I mean, although it's...
It won't be
it's not
bigger
heated.
than the existing deck, just over the existing deck, or around the
The
existing.
deck is not the footprint of the dwelling, though.
Oh.
By putting a roof over the deck, you're adding to the footprint of the dwelling, which is why you need the variance.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
And do you understand the standard for the granting of a variance?
No.
No.
It's extraordinarily high, and virtually no one meets the standard under the law. And if you'd been able to meet with Andrew this morning, I would guess that this is something he would have prepared you for. And there are certain criteria that you need to meet. There has to be something unique about the shape, geology, or topography of the lot that affects this lot and not other lots in the district. And there's someone else that's looking for a variance tonight, so this applies to you folks as well. And there's nothing unique about your lot other than it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot. There has to be a substantial hardship. I'm blanking on the standards under 40A Section 10, which is the standard for the granting of variance. There has to be a substantial hardship that would occur if the variance were not granted. For example, you had a buildable lot, and then the law changed, the bylaw changed in the town, and now what was a buildable lot on Monday is not a buildable lot on Tuesday, and now you can't build, absent the granting of a variance. That would be a substantial hardship. Not having a screened-in porch, in my estimation, and I'm just one person on this board, the other folks, we frequently disagree with each other, but not having a screened-in porch, in my estimation, does not create a substantial hardship. It's an inconvenience, maybe it's a hardship, but it's not a substantial hardship. Not having a buildable lot and then not having a buildable lot, in my estimation, would be a substantial hardship. And if you bear with me, I can run through the other criteria under 48 Section 10, but,
So, are you looking for it first?
Bob has it in his notes.
yeah, it's probably
It's in
in,
the last page.
It's right on the back of the memo.
oh, sorry.
It's there.
The standard is right on there.
Way, way back, all right. Very back.
Oh, there we go. It's Water Resource Protection District, site plan approval, special permits, zoning appeals, variance, okay. Conditions unique to the lot, structure, or building, and do not apply to the neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same district. Strict application of the provisions of this bylaw would deprive the applicant of reasonable use of the lot, structure, or building in a manner equivalent to the use permitted to be made by other owners of their neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same district. Unique conditions and circumstances are not the result of actions of the applicant taken subsequent to the adoption of the bylaw. Relief, if approved, will not cause substantial detriment to the public good or impair the purposes and intent of this bylaw. And relief, if approved, will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the district. So those are the standards that you would need to meet before a variance could be granted.
And
And,
it's unfortunately, all of them have to be met as well.
yeah, you couldn't meet 4 and not 5 and still get it. So, again, just running through condition number 1. Conditions and circumstances unique to your lot, structure, or building that don't apply to any neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same district.
Is the acres the same district?
Sorry?
The acres across the street, would this
I
be the
think so.
same district
I
here?
believe they both are 3.
Yep. Okay.
She did say it.
Reason I say that is I think it would be unique there for the mere fact that the acres in the same district is gonna have tree coverage. This area on 13th, there's not a tree to be found, so they're stuck out there in the sun on their deck. And
If
doing-
you'd like, we can extend you, and you can come back, you can talk to Andrew, and come to the next meeting.
Whatever the best way of doing it is. I was supposed to meet with him this morning, and I've got another meeting at December 2nd, I think, so.
When's the next meeting, Nancy?
Nancy, when's our next meeting?
December 10th.
We should meet with them then.
And then we'll just move you to the next meeting.
Because as of right now, you should talk to him and try and see if we can change something.
Okay,
All right.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that 2479 Jean and William Cook, 33 13th Road, move to December 10th, did you say, Nancy?
Yes.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you, we'll see you on the 10th. All right, so now we have Michael and Deidre O'Keefe. Come on up. The Petitioners are seeking a variance in accordance with 305-1011 of the Marshfield Municipal Code for relief from 305-608E, 3 other general dimensional and density provisions, and a special permit in accordance with 305-902 B and C to construct a 20-foot by 16-foot elevated second-floor deck with stairs on the property located at 15 Middle Street, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel N070131A and is located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record.
My name is Paul Louderback. I'm with Merrill Engineers and Land Surveyors, representing Michael and Deirdre O'Keefe. They're sitting right over there. I prepared the plan and the submittal, and I can give you a quick overview of the site and the project. It's located at 15 Middle Street, along the Brant Rock Beach in the residential waterfront district R3. The property has residential properties to the right and left, the seawall to the north, and Ocean Street to the south, Middle Street. The dwelling is connected to town sewer and water. The approximate size of the lot is 2251 square feet, well under the 10,000 square foot required. The entire lot is in 3 different flood zones and a barrier beach coastal dune, which we have gone to the Conservation Commission several months ago and gotten approval, and there's a existing current order of conditions for this project through Concom. So the applicant is asking for a variance from section 305-6.08E for a deck over 4 feet in height. He wants an elevated, we're asking for a variance for an elevated deck, encroaching on the side and rear setbacks. The closest existing setback is currently 2.7 feet over here, and the proposed is 2.8 feet, so we're not getting any closer to the side setbacks. It's a very constrictive, tight lot. The rear setback existing is currently 6 feet for the existing at-grade lowered deck, and the proposed setback to the second floor deck here will be 6.6 feet. The seawall is located in the back of the property and extends approximately 6 feet above grade, not allowing the applicant to be able to see over the seawall. I guess it was a recently elevated seawall. Seawall is similar along the entire run for the abutting properties. The current lot is existing very undersized, about less than 25% of the 10,000 square feet, and the width of the lot is about 34 feet, really restricting the ability to comply with anything with this elevated deck. Additionally, the construction of the elevated deck will allow additional means of egress from the second floor, emergency egress, and it'll aid in any sort of emergency situation if they're on the second floor and they need to get out on the deck and then down the stairs. It also includes a set of stairs that would come down. The owners of the property on Middle Street along Grant Rock Beach also have elevated decks. This is another reason he wants to, be in, along with his abutters who have elevated decks. Here's the property right next to him. Here's the other elevated decks you can see along Grant Rock seawall. So this is the wall, which is approximately 6 feet in height, and he's unable to enjoy his view or see Grant Rock Beach. So we are proposing, again, to build the elevated deck. We currently don't have elevations, but we're in the process of working with an architect, Bill Fornaciari. I think we've been coordinating with him. Once, we want to get through this step to be able to create the elevations. We have the 5, I don't know if we need to go through it. You guys probably have a copy of the section 2B of the we explained meeting all the 5 items there, criteria for the variance. We're asking for a variance, and then we're as well, we're also asking for a special permit for altering and extending a non-conforming structure. And as mentioned before, the seawall is located at the back of the property, extends 6 feet above grade. The project does not propose a change in use. There's no additional bedrooms or increase in occupancy. It will have no impact on traffic congestion or pedestrian safety, and no impact on water, drainage, or sewer systems, public or private. The elevated deck will have no adverse impact on the general public or public good. The elevated deck is on private property and would be in keeping with the area where many of the neighbors already have apparent relief to construct decks above the seawall. So with that, that's the presentation there. Is there any questions or comments?
That seawall out back, is that part of the new constructed seawall that's been renovated?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a new
I've
construction.
been told it is. It's this seawall here.
Yep.
Yeah.
But originally, that was lower than the deck, right? Yeah.
It was probably at the same level-ish, right?
Yeah. It's been elevated recently.
When was that?
I don't have the exact year, but
In the last couple of
Probably-
years.
recent.
Go ahead, come on up.
Yeah, could you maybe, I apologize if I can't answer any questions.
I'm the homeowner. About 2 years ago, they raised the seawall. My deck used to go
Flat onto the sea.
flat up to the
Yeah.
deck. All I really want to do is
Put it up at the same height it used to be.
same height, not change the footprint or anything.
You made the comment about it being a safety issue on the second floor, wanting the second floor.
Yeah, I have no, there's no stairs to get out of the second floor. This
Yeah.
one, it's just another extra thing to
Yep.
have.
Just a few doors down, I don't know if you know, remember the Mannix family, with Zeno Mannix was taken out of the second floor by a bulldozer during one of the big storms, so.
I
Second
did,
floor egress, to me, would be kind of important.
thank you. I remember the house.
Yeah, the Mannix is there.
So you guys want to go through we'll have to go through the explanations unless you have questions.
I was hoping that the applicant would explain,
Why?
Yeah.
5 reasons or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got it.
So we'll need you
Get a copy of
to,
this?
yeah, we have it. Sorry, it's in your packet. If you want, Brian, we can read through it and see if we all agree. These people didn't have.
Do you have an elevation view of the,
He's got all the reasons.
We don't currently have an elevation of the deck.
You have it?
But it's,
yeah,
the bottom of the, currently it's proposed as being an attached deck supported on open pile type foundations following all the Concom requirements. Helical screw piles of diamond pier approved equal. Bottom of the lowest horizontal member will be set at the 20.8 elevation, 2.8 feet above the flood zone VE 18 required by Concom.
Could I take a look at that board that we gave us?
Pictures?
No, this one.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
So you guys want to walk through these?
Anybody want to take a peek at this, maybe?
Just verify from your presentation, 2 sets of numbers. You said the existing setback on one side was 2.7
Yep,
feet, and it's going to be at 2.8, so less non-conforming?
less non-conforming.
Yeah, and then on the back, you said it's going to be 6.6 from the seawall versus the existing at 6, which is, again, less non-conforming.
Correct.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard those right.
Yep.
Well, do you guys want to go through the fact finding for the variance?
Certainly.
All right, number 1, can we put these up there, Nancy, or we don't have that skill set?
Didn't tell Rob how to get there.
All right. That the following circumstances relating to the soil condition, shape, or topography especially affect the land or structures in question, but do not generally the zoning district in which the land or structure is located. So you just give me your answer.
Yeah, we have the seawall that was recently elevated.
Okay.
Call that topography a raised seawall that cuts off all the views, and the lot is currently undersized with a lot area of 22, a little bit over 2,200 square feet, which is less than 25%, which restricts the ability to pretty much build anything in that back lot.
Does everyone agree with his answer?
I do.
I do.
I do.
No, thanks.
That a literal enforcement of the provisions of the zoning bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the undersigned for the following reasons. Go ahead.
The property owner would not be able to construct the deck to allow him to see over the seawall and you have the ability to have a view of the ocean that he used to have before the seawall was raised. As mentioned before, due to the existing shape of the lot, it is impossible to construct a functional deck on the property, which would allow the owner to see over the seawall. Additionally, the construction of the elevated deck allows for an additional means of emergency egress from the second floor. Very important.
Larry, who agrees?
I do agree, and
agree.
with the emergency egress and also with the financial aspect, what is the value of this house financially with a deck compared to the neighbors that have decks?
Grover?
I agree.
Brian?
I don't see it as a substantial hardship. It's an inconvenience.
I had something and they took it away, and the reason I even moved to that place was because of the view. Now it's gone.
Yeah, but, you know,
You agree?
arguably, you get the benefit of the seawall. I mean, you lose a view, but now you've got 4 feet more protection.
I guess I'd argue that the view is a bigger hardship. Where I am, I didn't need the seawall.
That's a 4-to-1 vote, so that the
Yeah.
relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good for the following reasons. Go ahead.
The elevated deck will have no adverse impact on the general public or public good. The elevated deck is on private property and will be in keeping with the area where many of the neighbors have already received relief with construction, to construct their decks above the new seawall.
Okay, do you agree with that,
I would
Larry?
agree.
Grover?
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do.
I agree.
Well, that's a 5-0. That the relief may be granted without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purposes of the zoning bylaw for the following reasons. Go ahead.
This is a very small, non-conforming lot, and the setback to the proposed deck will not exceed the existing setbacks. The purpose of the zoning bylaw is to encourage the value of land and buildings to be conserved, allowing the applicant to elevate their deck, to reestablish their view of the beach and ocean after the seawall was recently reconstructed. And elevated will not nullify or substantially derogate from the intent or purpose of the zoning bylaw.
Larry, do you agree?
I would agree.
Grover?
I agree.
Brian?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I do.
I do, especially the value of it being less non-conforming.
Number 5, that the strict application of the provisions of the bylaw would deprive the undersized of reasonable use of the lot structure in a manner equivalent with the use permitted to be made to other owners of the neighborhood lands or structures in the same district for the following reasons. Go ahead.
Owners of other properties on Middle Street and along the Brant Rock seawall have elevated decks above 4 feet, allowing them to see over the seawall consistent with what the owner of 15 Middle Street would like to do. To reestablish his view again. Residents of this area have enjoyed for many years the view of Brant Rock Beach and the ocean. The recent seawall reconstruction has blocked this view from the lower elevations along the wall. Granting of this relief will allow the applicant to enjoy the natural beauty in the area again as he has for many years in the past. And like you said, the reason he bought the property.
Larry, do you agree?
I would agree.
Grover?
I agree.
Brian?
Yep.
I do.
Yes.
That the conditions and circumstances are not the result of the actions of the undersigned taken subsequent to the adoption of this bylaw for the following reasons. This
Basically,
one's pretty
he did
cut
not
and dry.
build the seawall. He did not create this
He did not create the
restriction of being able to
Yes.
see.
problem. Larry?
Absolutely.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree.
Easy agree.
That the relief, if approved, will not constitute a grant of special privilege inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the same districts for the following reasons. Go ahead.
Basically, the owners of the other properties on Middle Street and along the Brant Rock seawall have elevated decks above 4 feet, allowing them to see over the seawall consistent with what the owner here of 15 Middle Street would like to do.
Larry, do you agree?
I agree.
Grover?
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
I agree.
All right. So do we have anything else from the audience? Anything else from the board?
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm going to do the variance first, and then I'll do the special permit. I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a variance subject to the conditions. I'm assuming they're going to need a building permit, elevation certificate, and a certificate of occupancy, and a site plan. And if they need a floodplain thing with Andrew, they have to get that.
Probably should be compliance with the floodplain bylaw.
Yeah, compliant to the floodplain bylaw. Based on the finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 20-foot by 16-foot elevated second-floor deck with stairs on the property located at 15 Mill Street as shown on a site plan of 15 Mill Street by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveys, October 1st, 2024, meets the variance criteria of Section 1011 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, no?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
All right, so that passes 4-1. And now I'm going to do the special permit. I move that the board vote to grant petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions, building permit, site plan, certificate of occupancy, floodplain, what's the thing called, Nancy? The floodplain,
Compliance with the floodplain
compliance with the floodplain.
bylaw.
Based on the finding that the application proposed to construct a 20-foot by 16-foot elevated second-floor deck with the stairs on the property located at 15 Mill Street as shown on the site plan on 15 Mill Street by Merrill Engineers and Land Surveys dated October 1st, 2024, meets the special permit criteria of Section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
All right, you're all set.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So now we have Susan B. Robinson, 2481. Petitioner is seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 and 305-902C of the Marshfield Municipal Code to remove the existing 12-foot by 16-foot family room and construct a new 14.5-foot by 18.5-foot family room on the property located at 248 Ridge Road, which is further identified on the assessor's maps as being on parcel J140108, is located in the R3 zoning district. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. Steve Bjorklund, 861 Main Street, Norwell, Massachusetts, here representing Ms. Robinson.
Go ahead.
We have a site, you all have the plan in front of you as well. I'm sure you've got a look at it. What they're looking to do is to take down the family room, which is on the back wing of the house, and actually reconstruct it. And as reconstructed, it's going to be 2.5 feet larger towards the west side of the property and 2.5 feet wider towards the north side of the property, that's actually conforming there. But the house sits at a slight angle to the property line, as you can see on the plan, and it's actually going from 8.6 feet from the property line to 8.5 feet. So when you extend it back to 2.5 feet based on the angle, it's actually about 1.45 inches closer to the edge of the property. And the lot conforms in all respects to the zoning bylaw, and the house conforms with everything except for that one side setback on the south side, and we're seeking a special permit. And I'll answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from the board?
Nope.
Any questions from the audience? Seeing that there's none, I'm going to move that we close 2481 Susan B. Robinson, 248 Ridge Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
And I'm going to move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions of the building permit, site plan, compliance with the floodplain, and a certificate of occupancy, based on the findings that the applicant's proposal to remove the existing 12-foot by 16-foot family room and construct a 14.5-foot by 18.5-foot family room on the property located at 248 Ridge Road, as shown on the site plan for 248 Ridge Road by Grady Consulting LLC, dated October 28th, 2024, and the architectural plans, 2 pages, dated August 1st, 2024, by Farwell and Sons Incorporated, meets the special permit criteria of Section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you.
I wish they were all this easy, and it was a pleasure coming in front of you guys.
Thank you.
All right, now we
Being
have
prepared helps.
Victor and Janet Grasso. Come on up. The petitioners are seeking a special permit in accordance with 305-1012 of the Marshfield Municipal Code to demolish an existing dwelling and construct a new 40-foot by 28-foot home with a 27.5-foot, 27.5 by 10-foot front deck and access the stairs on the property located at 207 Ocean Street, which is further identified on the assessors maps as being on N070810 and is located in the R3 zoning district. Go ahead, name and address for the record.
Rick Savant with Stenbeck and Taylor. So yes, the homeowners have applied to raise and rebuild the existing home. They're seeking to construct a new home elevated on a new concrete foundation. The new structure, the existing structure is non-compliant to the setbacks, obviously, and also the lot is undersized. The new structure will improve on the existing setbacks or comply. The left side being the closest side, they're currently at 5.4. We're going to move it out a few feet to 6 feet. The front setback to the porch complies. The right side, it's kind of an odd-shaped lot. The back line has been deemed a sideline, with the rear being that small 9-foot tail out in the back. So we meet the rear setback. So we're improving on the existing nonconformity or complying. The building coverage is proposed at 21.4 if approved. So we're well under the requirement for the R3. And that's essentially what we're here for, a special permit to raise and rebuild this existing non-conforming structure.
Any questions from the board?
Nope, it clearly needs it. Being this close to the lot line would be nice with new construction, the 5 rows and everything else.
Any questions from the audience? Go ahead, name and come up to the podium. You can come right up to the podium over there. So name and address for the record.
Veronica Ryan, 222 Island Street. I have a question of how they can use that small piece of land as their rear when my property, if they go by the existing new plan, will be 15 feet from his house. They're using my property, which is in the rear, as a side instead of as the back.
Go ahead, Rick.
Sure. So this has been reviewed with the building inspector, but the way the bylaw reads is the rear lot line for any lot is the line furthest from the front line, most nearly parallel to and opposite the front line. So
Correct. So
this,
it'll be
in this
very far.
layout of that lot, it would be that 9-foot tail in the rear would be the rear lot line for this property, even though it is the other sideline for us happens to be your rear, but the lot has a different shape to it.
It's the furthest point back there at the 9
Yep.
feet. So do you understand that?
I understand that, but it still brings his house, my house will be like 23 feet from his house if they build this existing.
Do we have a way of looking at the map with Andrew not here, the overhead map?
I gave you two on the
Bob has it.
memo.
Bob has it on the memo.
In your picture.
I can have Rob pull up the photos.
There's an
Yeah,
overview.
we can pull up the map on the memo.
Yeah, I don't have, I might have something in here.
Do you want
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
That's the
locate the
law.
house.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Maybe the law, but I honestly, fire risk and a
I understand that.
encroachment to the neighbors.
Understandable.
It's existing where it is, why not put it where it is?
Even if that was into a lot, that would be the setback. That's how the law reads.
Grover, I had the same thought.
Yeah.
Just the way the law reads.
Well, but for that reason.
No, logic doesn't read that way, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's for sure.
And we have some of these houses that are over the lot line.
Yeah.
They are, they're within 3 feet of another
Yeah,
house.
this like 5 or 7 lots right here, they're just so congested. It's-
Yeah, so it looks like, how far is your setback at your house?
From the back there, it's
Yeah.
probably about 8 feet.
So what I'm understanding is that your rear setback is going to be conforming, correct?
The rear setback is 41.9 feet,
Yep.
and we're 15.2 off the line we're discussing,
Yep.
where that other non-conforming
That other
structure
piece
is.
just becomes a side.
Yep,
Yep. Got it.
yep. So, yeah.
So when I looked at the things that you have to comply with, it was like saying that it doesn't disrupt the neighbors, and I don't feel that I think this does disrupt the neighbors, and it's not. There was like 9 or 10 things that it was supposed to comply with, and there was about 5 of them that it doesn't comply with.
Do you want to run through
Yep, we can do
Sure.
that?
Number 2 on this list, I believe we got it from the town.
It's 305, 10, 12.
Excuse me, one at a time.
Okay, so number 2, the requested use is essential or desirable to the public convenience or welfare for the following reasons. They're going to use it for personal family use, but there is a house already existing that they can use for personal family use, not to make it this much bigger. And then on number 4, the requested use will not overload any public water drainage or sewer system or any other municipal system to such an extent that the requested use or any developed use in the immediate area is in any other area of town will be unduly subjected to hazards. We do live in a flood zone. I understand that this property is a little higher elevation than my house, so the changes things, but when they build a house, where is all the water going to go? It's just going to flow around the house into my basement, my house. Number 6, that the requested use will not impair the integrity or character of the district or adjoining zones, not to be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare. It is not going to be similar to the other dwellings in the district. It's going to be much bigger. And
Nancy, can you have him put up the thing from Bob for the special permit, the 10 criteria they have to meet?
Yeah, do you want to just ask him to scroll to the end of this?
All right.
'Cause you have
Colin,
it
right?
there,
Yeah, it's in there. Hey, Colin, can you scroll down to the bottom of the sheet? Robert. Robert, can you, to the very bottom, I'm looking for the special permit criteria.
The special permit for 1 and 2 family homes is the one you want, 10, 12?
Yeah, you have it in there, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Keep going down.
Why down does he have to
It's all the
go?
way to.
It's all the way at the end.
Next to last page.
Let me just get a clarity here. You said that the house was going, the to-be-built house is significantly larger than the one that's currently there.
Yes. Yes.
So, I say this a lot. So that's an opinion that I'm hearing from you, not a fact. If you had facts to give me, I'd be happy to consider them. But just because you say so doesn't make it so. If you said the existing house was 10 and this new one's going to be 300, those are facts.
Okay.
So if there's any way to help me understand your comments like
So
that,
on-
I would love to hear them.
Okay, on the plan that they have drawn up, that they have the house, the existing house is drawn there, so you can see that. And then you can also see where the new proposed house is on that plan.
So what I see is that the existing house has a 986 square feet, and that the to-be-built house is 1,120 square feet, which is an increase of 146 square feet, which to me is not a substantially larger house. To me. And we're talking about auxiliary dwelling units that are 900 square feet. In general, so to me, this is not a substantially larger house.
I guess because it's on a small lot,
Okay,
it's substantially larger.
that's a good point, thank you.
And all of the lots down in that area are non-conforming, or, everything was built at a different time. So I guess I'm just trying to protect my privacy and the value of my own home.
Are you looking for the one, Jim?
Yeah.
I understand your point about the home being closer to yours, and that's undeniable, but it's in compliance with the law. The fact that they're taking a 986 square foot house and building a 1,120 square foot house, to me, is
It is as
it's virtually the same size. It's minuscule, the difference between one and the other than it being closer to just your home. But again, the law permits them to do it.
So why do they have to apply for a special variance?
There's applying for a special permit because, as you point out, they have a pre-existing non-conforming lot, as most of the homes in that area are pre-existing non-conforming. So it's an undersized lot, and there are, I think there are a number of encroachments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that are being reduced. So in terms of what we often see, this is a vast improvement. And the home is modestly sized to be, not to insult Rick's clients, but you don't see people building 1,200 square foot dwellings. You see people building 3,500 square foot dwellings for them and their cats or their dogs.
I personally think she has a point on 4. Item 4. That area has had there's been multiple fires there over the last 10, 20 years. There was one on the corner that nearly caught the entire corner on fire.
Was that the one just a couple weeks ago?
No, it was probably 10, 15 years ago. But the main house on the corner there nearly caught that entire area on fire.
Yeah.
We're putting a bigger house closer to other houses. I feel like that doesn't meet number 4, in my opinion.
Bob, does that number 4, does that pertain to that house, or it just pertain to the whole neighborhood?
You're talking about the overloading of water supply?
Yeah.
Overloading water supply, and then also unduly subjecting the area to the health and hazard of the area.
It has to be, whatever they're proposing to do has to overload water, drainage, or sewer system, or any other municipal system, and cause a health hazard.
Right.
I don't think that's the applicable one. I mean, there are other criteria, 8, 9, substantial different character, more detrimental, objectionable to the neighborhood. Those ones you can, it's up to you all to decide.
When it says detrimental to the neighborhood, that means
Maybe
the
that's one.
entire
I'm
neighborhood.
looking at 9, not 4.
The entire neighborhood, meaning that this has to be different.
It's not
than
one
the
house.
entire neighborhood.
Yeah, it's not a neighbor.
Not
does
one
a
house.
The
neighbor.
neighborhood is
Entire
not one
neighborhood.
house. It is the homes in the area.
I hear your point, though, Grover, because there have been a number of fires. There was a fire recently right on the ocean in Situate. There was the Hummer fire a few years ago, which involved, I think, 3 or 4 homes. There was a fire recently in Marshfield. So, yeah. Then the flip side of that is that this home is going to be more conforming in terms of setbacks. It's going to be built to current fire code versus kindling.
Tinderbox that exists there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a trade-off, but I hear your point.
Current side setback is, for this lot, would be,
15 feet is what's,
and that would be, it would consider fire safety at that, so this is more than 15 at that
but the other house only has about, she said 8 feet.
8.
It's tight.
It's tight.
So I'd rather see new building codes that tight. I totally understand what you're getting at, but every single neighbor, including yourself, if you wanted to do anything to your home, would have to go through the special permit process.
Okay.
It's just the nature of the beach down there. And, you know, it's a beautiful location, and as Brian pointed out, I think this is a modest improvement. If someone going there, I think could go up substantially higher and build a lot bigger of a house there than what is being proposed there. I think this is a good proposal for that lot.
Do you have any other questions?
I don't think so.
Anyone else have any other questions?
So I'm April Hillier. I'm representing my mother, Faith Jean, that lives at 211 Ocean Street. She's in hospital tonight, so she is not able to attend.
I'm sorry, could you please speak up?
I think,
Sorry?
fan is
pull that
going-
thing close, yeah, pull it closer.
It's April Hillier. I'm representing Faith Jean, who lives at 211 Ocean Street. She's in hospital tonight, and she is not able to attend. So when I look at this, I think your question about the size of the building, so they're talking about, I think your plans have as if the garage that used to be there and is now gone. Aren't you intending to go all the way back to where those giant pilings are now?
Go ahead.
I can speak to that, yeah. So I know the 6 pilings there that, my understanding was a former garage. We are not going all the way to the rear of that. You can see on the plan where the body of the house. I think the big difference is when you look at this plan, the old house, even though the structure is smaller, it had a large porch on the front, which counts for the building coverage. This new home, it has a big deck on the front, which isn't counted in the building coverage. So when you look at the two, yeah, it's a lot further to the rear, but we lost all that porch area. So it is increasing by 134 square feet of the building coverage. The impervious coverage is increasing, but it does not include going back to the rear of those pilings.
So the footprint, though, overall,
Yep.
is much larger. The square footage, I suppose, of the inside is 100, right?
No,
But the footprint, compared to the footprint that that existing building is sitting on in your plan,
yep,
you're intending to encroach much closer to those pilings that are there now, right?
then the existing house, yes,
Mm-hmm.
closer.
And so is that living space, or is it porch?
That's all living space.
And so within that, that's the 134 we're talking about?
Nope. So that's part of it. You can see on the front of the home, on the Ocean Street side, the existing home, which is dashed underneath, there was a large wraparound porch on the house. So So you count the footprint of the existing building and the footprint of that porch makes up the 986 square feet of the original home. The new home, although it's positioned differently, it's 40 by 28 without a porch, and the footprint of that is 1,120 square feet. So it's only, the footprint is the 1,120 square feet. So it looks bigger, but you can essentially slide that old house back to the line of the house. It would be the old porch line, if it were to slide rear and match the proposed front of the house, would be about the same in the rear.
So it's sitting within the footprint it's allowed to sit in with lot coverage.
Yep.
Okay.
Improving on.
And it's going up a story, right? Like,
Yeah.
in the back.
Yep.
So in the back, the piece that is going to get close to Ronnie's house and that is going to look straight into my mother's dining room is going to go up. So now we'll have 2 stories, like looking into that, my mom's house on the side, and looking back onto Ronnie's. So kind of the elevation of that, like in addition to like the extra square footage, like it just changes everything, right? Like, so now, if, I don't think there's windows on that side, which is probably a good thing. They may be smaller, but people will be looking literally into Ronnie's house, my mom's house, because they're close, like that's how it is. So that's why we kind of have always thought in the neighborhood that the houses, if you're gonna do anything, you just do it on the existing foundation, right? You live with what you bought the house, like you made an investment in that community, knowing the flood damage. It was already damaged when they bought it, in fact. So you kind of live within the foundation that it's built on, and then that's how the community can maintain its, you know, its integrity. Like you're buying on small lots. I don't know why people think they're going to get anything else. So when I look at 305, 10, 12, 9, you know, objectionable to the neighborhood. And there aren't more neighbors here because guess what? It's Thanksgiving weekend. They're elsewhere. We have other neighbors that would have come, but they're out of town. Like,
Well, they could zoom in.
okay. Well, not everybody is as tech savvy, so I think that there's some, you know, it's, the timing of this is interesting for me. So I'd say.
Do you think that there was something afoot in that it was scheduled so that people couldn't participate in the public meeting?
I don't, but I feel like if you're wondering where the community is, that could be a contributing factor.
Nancy, do we have any letters, emails, anything?
No, Miss Ryan did come in last week.
But do we have anything from the neighbors? All right.
Is this your mom's house you're talking about?
No, that's the other side.
It's the other-
So that's the one, those are the neighbors that actually would have come if they weren't away on Thanksgiving.
Is this your mom's house here?
No, that's Ronnie's house. My mom's has a one with the porch. Sorry. This is my mom's. And this is Ronnie's.
Okay.
So my mom's dining room is there.
Mm-hmm.
2 stories are gonna go right
Yep.
there.
Got it.
If I could just offer one thing on that, just, it's a 2.5-story house like that's there today. Obviously, the house is being made flood compliant.
Yeah, it's got to be.
So it's being elevated considerably with a lower level
We
enclosure,
understand why it's going up in
which
the
is
air.
causing the extra height.
So the other thing that concerns me is, and I'm going through these things like on 30510.12, like you did in the original conversation. So if we look at, you know, 2, all these things have to be met, right? 1 through 10. If we look at
Yes,
2 is.
we're gonna actually walk through those.
Right. So, you know, my view on 2 is that, you know, is it essential or desirable to the public, convenience or welfare? Like, I'm not sure I believe that to be true. Like, it is currently a home. It was storm damage when it was purchased. You could have put something up that stays in that footprint. I'm most worried about item 4, truthfully. And I would say less about public, like public water, and more about stormwater drainage, right? So stormwater is gonna come. So now you're putting a foundation where there didn't used to be a foundation. It's gonna change the flow of the water, and it's gonna all come downhill, so either to my mom's place or to Ronnie's place, right? And so I worry about that if you don't have an environmental impact assessment that shows that floodwaters won't damage because they're now diverted. Like,
There is a,
how are you able to make that decision and come to some consensus on 4 when, you know, you're gonna change the drainage in that area? And we get a lot of water. And it's probably the biggest concern for me.
Is that everything?
I've probably said enough. I think you get it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so anything else from the public? Anything else from the board? I'm going to move that we close, when I can find it. I have it.
208 Ocean Street?
What is it?
207 Ocean Street?
You know what number it is?
2482,
2482.
Victor and Janet Grasso.
What is it?
Victor and Janet Grasso.
Victor and Janet Grasso, 207 Ocean Street. Do I have a second?
second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Bob Hensy, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Matt Brothers, aye. We
That's
just
part
voted.
of the decision. I'm looking for it.
Okay.
So, I'm going to move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit, subject to the conditions, building permits, site plan, compliance with the floodplain, certificate of occupancy, and going to see that it meets the criteria 1 through 10, starting with 1. The use requested for extension or alteration listed in the table of use regulations is permitted or permitted by special permit in at least one district within the town. Do we agree with that?
I do.
Yeah, single family.
The request extension, I'm just asking you guys to say you don't agree if you don't. The request extension of alteration for the use of the structure is essential or desirable to the public convenience or welfare. Does anyone disagree? The request extension for alteration of the use of the structure will not further create undue traffic congestion or unduly impair pedestrian safety. Does anyone disagree? The request extension or alteration to the use of structure will not further overload any public water, drainage, or sewer system, any other municipal system, to such an extent that it will be the requested use or land developed use in the immediate area or in any other area of the town will be unduly subjected to hazards affecting health, safety, or general welfare. Does anyone disagree with that? Any special regulations for the use or structure as set forth in Article 7 are fulfilled.
That's 12.
Oh, sorry, 12. Good thing you caught that. The requested extension or alteration in the use structure will not impair the integrity or character of the district or adjoining zones, nor be detrimental to the health, morals, or welfare. Anyone disagree? The requested extension or alteration of the use structure will not bring to use or structure into violation or further violation of the regulations set forth in Article 6, Table of Dimensional and Density Regulations, unless a variance is also granted subject to the provisions of 305-1011 of the bylaw. Anyone disagree? The extended or altered use of structure will be not be substantially different in character. Anyone disagree? The extended or altered use of structure will not be more detrimental or objectionable to the neighborhood.
I disagree.
Okay?
I
Can
disagree.
you just repeat that?
I disagree.
Which number?
9.
9.
I disagree on 9.
The extended or altered use or structure does not cause violation or further violation of this Article 8 of the bylaw. Anyone disagree? All right, so Based on the findings in the applicant's proposal to demolish the existing dwelling and construct a new 40-foot by 28-foot house with a 27.5 by 10-foot front deck and access stairs on the property located at 207 Ocean Street, shown on the location by Stenbeck and Taylor, dated October 22nd, 2024, Richards Font, PLS, showing existing and proposed home and architectural plans by Buildex, dated 7/16/24, 5 pages, meets the special permit criteria of section 1012 of the bylaw. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, no.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, no.
So it failed.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, who's next?
Mike Mazzini? Is this the container with the
Oh, yeah.
fireplace door?
Yep, I'm gonna have to read this. 2468, Mike Mazzini, are you here?
And I did not receive any new information from him.
All right, I'm
Last
gonna
time he called a couple of days before the hearing.
Can I end this thing, Bob?
Can you end it?
Can I close this meeting and vote on it?
If he's not here, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna move that we,
You could move to deny without prejudice, so he could refile.
all right, I'm gonna move that we deny without prejudice 2468, Michael
Move- Excuse
Mazzini.
me, move to close?
Oh, yeah, move to close.
Move to
Michael,
close.
2468, Michael Mazzini. Do I have a
Second.
second? All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
I'm gonna move that we deny without prejudice 2468, Michael Mazzini. 2105 Ocean Street. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
All right, I know we have one more.
73 Eagle Road.
Dave
This
O'Brien.
is,
What's that?
Dave O'Brien.
Yeah, Dave O'Brien, 73 Eagle Road. That's already been read into the record, right?
Yes. We opened it, and Chris Pratt was here talking about enclosing the deck, and notice was given to the abutting water tower. I don't see the water tower here, but Greg Morse is here.
Yes. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. For the record, Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering. With me is Chris Pratt, Pratt Custom Home Building, who's the contractor on the project. We're representing the property owners, Dave and Elizabeth O'Brien. The property's at 73 Eagle Road, which is in the R2 Residential Zoning District. It's also within the Stormwater Management Overlay District. This is up on the Holly Hill, Telegraph Hill area of town. This was before the board at your last meeting. What's proposed here is conversion of a deck that exists off the back of the house into a covered porch. The existing home is on a lot that's 11,475 square feet in size. It's entirely upland land area. The home was built in 2003. This is a residential lot of record. The deck that's on the back of the home is approximately 14.1 feet from the rear lot line. The proposal here is to take that deck and to put a roof over it and screened siding. It's an unheated, unfinished space. It would be pervious material below the deck. The deck is elevated up in the air between 3 and 5 feet. It would be constructed on 3 sonotubes. I believe at the last meeting, there was a question regarding stormwater at the site where it's in the Stormwater Overlay District. We submitted a revised plan. That revised plan has 2 dry wells, which would be attached to the roof gutters coming off the back of the house. Those 2 roof dry wells mitigate the 100-year storm event for the entire roof area of the porch. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Any questions from the board?
I'm good.
Any questions from the audience? All right. I'll move that
Now,
we...
Bob, this is the one where Andrew is the variance grantor?
He is the
Yes.
permit granting authority in the stormwater management overlay district. And in order to get a permit or approval there, you have to meet development performance standards, and he alone is the one that determines that. His objection to this was that when you put a roof over that back deck, you were increasing the impervious surfaces, notwithstanding the fact that there might be crushed stone underneath it. That was his issue.
And Greg's plan dated November 21st shows the recharge into the dry walls, picking up any potential runoff that would come off the covered deck.
I mean, again, you're not granting the stormwater overlay district permit, or you're not determining compliance. If he doesn't meet it, Andrew's going to catch him on that issue. So, but he was raising that when you added that roof over that back porch, you were increasing it beyond what was permitted. He didn't consider the area underneath the deck as being impervious.
I'm satisfied.
All right. Any questions from the board, audience? And a move that we close 2472 David O'Brien, 73 Eagle Road. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
I move that the board vote to grant the petitioner's application for a special permit subject to the conditions based on finding that the applicant's proposal to construct a 12-foot by 18-foot screen porch over the existing deck on the property located at 73 Eagle Road is shown on plans showing porch 73 Eagle Road, Marshfield, Mass. By Morse Engineering Company Incorporated, dated October 15th, 2024. Gregory Morse, P.E., meets the special permit criteria section of the bylaw.
The plan was revised November 21st.
Oh, revised on November 21st, 2024. And this will be subject to a building permit, site plan approval, and certificate of occupancy,
And it should be compliant with the stormwater management regulations.
and issuance
To
of
the
the,
extent applicable.
what Bob said. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
So now we just have to approve the minutes?
And I put that stuff together for the AD comments.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Happy
I'm just
Thanksgiving.
I'm just gonna move that we, oh, Larry, you do the minutes first, and then I'll do the ADU stuff.
Were the minutes written up yet? I didn't sign anything.
Yeah, I'll bring it.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from November 12th, 2024.
Second?
Second.
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Brian Sullivan, aye?
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
I'm gonna move that we take our, all our stuff we gave to Andrew, have him put it into something in writing, and send it to the planning board. Do we agree with that,
Sure.
everybody?
I do, yes.
Trust him.
All right. That's good.
And the town meeting is December 16th.
16th, yeah.
Have we heard anything else about the, because when the planning board met last Monday night, they were going to discuss it further.
No, that's coming up this Monday night.
That's coming up this, so there's been no additional
No, they haven't
discussions?
done anything, yeah.
So, and when they meet next,
But
they'll
they
have our...
closed it, but left it open so we can send that letter in.
Okay. And then
Right.
we'll see what happens on the floor of town meeting.
Yeah. So are we done, Nancy?
Move to adjourn?
This first
Second?
one was,
Yeah.
The first one?
Oh, yeah, sorry, ooh, we almost just approved them. Musket Road, anyone have the number?
22.
What's I'm missing a piece?
2478.
2478,
Did we open it?
yes, I did. Musket Road, what number Musket Road?
Move to continue to
22.
22 Musket
January?
Road. Move to continue to December 10th? All in favor?
Larry Keane, aye.
Grover Hensey, aye.
Grover Henry seconded.
Brian Sullivan, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
All right, now move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Larry Kane, aye.
Grover Hensley, aye.
Brian Murphy, aye.
Mac Brothers, aye.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all.
Yeah.